fire was a natural disaster. It
Natural,
wasn't a
exactly. It was
conflict.
a
Yeah, it was not a
natural disaster.
conflict.
It wasn't a
Conflict was
conflict. There were no
Yeah, it was
terrorist
not
groups
yeah,
involved.
But
yeah.
that led to conflicts, I guess.
That led to conflicts, but
So we
it wasn't
can discuss
started by
about
some
those
terrorist
conflicts.
yeah, that is. I do
Uh,
not support this idea. I don't know about anyone. Please,
we
I
can
believe.
तो एक
discuss
काम
about
करते
the
हैं, सुनो,
conflicts that
लेट्स कीप वन जेंडर अम्ब्रेला सब टॉपिक और उसमें आपको अपने हिसाब से जो भी
There'll be
ऐड ऑन करना है वो
subtopics.
करते रहो,
Yeah.
है ना?
Exactly. Yeah, that's an better.
ये सब
So far
तो
better
ये
idea.
सब टॉपिक मैं ग्रुप चैट में डाल देता हूँ एक बार.
Please. Okay.
Just pardon my spelling, everyone.
I guess we are just new to this topic. So I guess we should read and study more about this topic, and we can discuss the more topics in the group. I guess we all are in the group. So we can propose the ideas in the group and tell the admin to because it says admins can only message. So from that we can discuss
Because
of
we might not be getting more time for lobbying directly via video calls. Let's just discuss a few more topics right now, and the rest all the topics should be discussed in groups.
Okay,
Yeah.
so delegates, we have our chair president, Arnav Sir here. So so Arsheya ma'am has marked you on this lobbying part. Arnav Sir, you can take over.
Hi, delegates. Sincere apologies for being this late. I got stuck up somewhere. All right. Who all do we have? Just a second.
This is the delegate of Vietnam, and I have joined this for the first time because because I was not in the previous meeting, and I'm the new one here.
Right. So who all were not there in the last meeting? Can you raise your
I
hand?
was not there.
The delegate of China, and I wasn't present in the first meeting.
Yes.
Nor was there.
All right. So USA, China, Vietnam were not there. All right. Great. So I'll just give you 1 second. All right. So I'll just give you a brief introduction of myself. I am Aviral Narang Bhardwaj. I'll be serving as the president for this session. All right. Yeah, that's enough introduction. So, has Asha explained you the new rules of procedure?
I haven't as of now because I was waiting for you to arrive.
Okay.
Should we
all right.
start with the explanation?
Yeah. So, delegates, there are a slight few changes that have happened to the rules of procedure. The executive board has discussed it, and the honorable vice president would be making you aware of the changes in the rules of procedure. How many first timers are there in this session who are not aware of the rules of procedure? Please raise your hands.
Arsheya ma'am and Arnav Sir, can you please turn on your videos?
Yeah, just 1 second, man. I'll need 1 second for that. All right. So there are 2 people who are not aware. All right, Arsha, you can go through the rules of procedure and the changes that have taken place to that, and then I'll take over.
Okay. So the first timer delegates, do you guys know anything about the rules of procedure, or you have no clue?
I know a bit of USA, ROP.
Okay, USA. What about Yemen? You are also first timer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you know the basic rules of procedure?
No, I'm a delegate of Vietnam this side. I'm not aware of the rules of procedure, but I know what they are. Those are some rules that have to be followed while the committee is going on, and no violation should be there against them like that, I guess.
Okay. And delegate of Yemen, you were not audible. Were you saying something? You're not audible.
Ma'am, take the mic closer maybe. And those who have not attended, it's available on YouTube. The channel's name is Manhattan MUN, so you can go there and you can watch it.
Okay, so like, so do you guys want me to start from the very beginning of what like how do you have your ROPs or? Okay, you have seen the YouTube video. All right, great. So you know the ROPs then, right? The major ROPs which you'll be having. Great. Vietnam, since we do not have that much time, what you can do is you can go ahead with watching the video same as the delegate of Yemen did. So you will have a basic, introduction to the ROPs. And if you have any doubts, you can contact me or the president. All right.
Yeah, I watched it. Maybe I missed out something. I'll rewatch it.
Okay. All right. So,
Alright.
yeah. So,
Yeah, Arsheya, go ahead. Go ahead.
okay. So since like you guys will watch the YouTube video, I don't think I have to explain a lot. So what I'll just quickly do is tell you about the changes in the ROPs which we'll have in this committee. So first of all, about the chit system. Now we won't be having chits. First of all, one main reason for that is because we do not have that many members in the committee, and seeing that you don't have that many members in the committee, it's not really required to have chits when you can already discuss so much in person as in the conference itself. So instead, we'll be entertaining analysis papers and what was the other thing?
We'll take so there are a slew of documents that we'll be taking in the committee, which are going to be extensive to the committee proceedings and how we're going to be debating in the committee. I'll explain documents to you later. For now, yeah, just know this: chits are disbanded. We're not going to have any sort of chits because by the name of it, chits is like that is in any case not existent. So yeah, we're not gonna have chits. If you have any points of orders, I understand a lot of you have been familiarized with the concept of factual fallacies being brought up in points of orders. That is something that we're not going to follow in this committee. Points of orders will only be entertained when you feel the executive board is not following the rules of procedure, or you have a doubt on a certain ruling that we give. Only in those circumstances will you be able to raise a point of order. If you have a factual inaccuracy that you have noticed in a delegate's speech, you can write us a message that, sir, delegate of, let's say, China stated XYZ, however, the fact is ABC, right? And then you give us a source for that to verify that factual inaccuracy. However, that will not be marked upon. However, if you want to point it out to us and make us aware of that, we'll most certainly entertain it. Yeah, Asha, go ahead.
Yeah, so like you got the fact that we won't have any chits due to the number of members present in the committee. Instead, we'll have analysis papers and concept notes. Now, what are these? Just mind these words. They're very fancy, even though they're not something that fancy at all. See, an analysis paper and concept note, I'm not the best person to explain you. The president can explain you these better. So just mind these two words. The president can go ahead and explain these. So you can go ahead and explain.
I'll leave the documents for now. Let's do consultations.
Yeah.
Are you well versed with that, or should I do that?
I can do it. It's fine.
Yeah. So
Okay.
explain consultations.
All right. So as you just saw, we had a lobbying session. So that's well and good enough. But instead, in this committee, we'll have a consultation. Now, what is a consultation? It's like a backroom lobbying. So what the secretariat can do is make a other breakout room for you guys where you can have one of the vice chairs there and you can conduct your lobbying session there. Instead of not having a specific unmod, it's like a unmod, but it's not an unmod. Consultation happens so that you get in consensus with the document, like the final document which you guys want to make. that can help, the consultation can help in the discussion. So that's why you have a consultation instead of a unmoderated caucus. So you guys will have a consultation, so you can have a other specific breakout room with one of the vice chairs, and we can mark you on your consultation. All right, President, anything to add on that?
Yeah, so I think Asha has pretty much explained you the gist of what a consultation is. I'm pretty sure most of you, even experienced delegates, would have been hearing this for the first time. Consultations are common procedure in the United Nations, not just the Security Council and some other committees as well. Consultations, by the very word meaning, means you're consulting somebody about something. And considering that in the United Nations, the ultimate goal is to reach on a consensus on a particular document or a particular action. In order to do that, consultations are undertaken, wherein delegates of various countries, and in the case of the United Nations Security Council, members go outside to a separate room, wherein so if we talk in the UN context where the international press is not present. So nobody is recording that. There's no official record of what kind of conversations you're having in a consultation room. The advantage to that is, let's say that USA cannot publicly negotiate with China on a particular consensus, right? Why? Because it might feel that their political stance in the world will be affected if they, publicly try to negotiate with them. So what they do is they go to a private consultation room, and then over there they discuss, the fine print of the consensus that they're trying to reach. Now, even in these consultations, while there is no official record of that, what is recommended to all of you, and there were several documents that were sent on the group. I don't know if you've seen them or not, or if you've gone through them or not, but they are very, very helpful. My suggestion highly to you would be to go through them. So what they basically state is, after every consultation, there's a compilation note which is made. Now, what is this compilation note? It is nothing. It's just a fancy word for the first steps to the text of your draft resolution. So while most of you think that draft resolutions only happen on the second or third day or the final day of the conference, and it's like the the end of the conference kind of a thing. However, you can start a committee with a draft resolution and then undertake a discussion on that draft resolution throughout the 2 days of the committee. You can bring up multiple draft resolutions. You can adopt them. That is also possible. That harkens back to something that I told in the first session, that there are 4 types of meetings that the United Nations Security Council undertakes. Number 1 is an open debate. Number 2 is a debate. Number 3 is a briefing. And number 4 is an adoption meeting. Okay. I will not go into the details of that. If you're interested, you can go back, see the session. I have explained in thorough detail what they are, how they are, and how they're undertaken. However, was somebody saying something? All right, no issues. So yeah, so coming back to this, consultation is a type of backroom lobbying, very important indeed. We as the executive board will be very closely looking at these consultations, how you structure them, how you go about doing them. Because for us, lobbying is not us giving you an unmoderated caucus and you shouting your hearts out, or you trying to speak over each other, trying to show your dominance कि oh मुझे इतना चिल्लाना आता है और मुझे इतना चिल्लाना नहीं आता है. That is not how lobbying happens in the real world of diplomacy. How it happens in a very gentlemanly manner. Sounds sexist, gentlemanly, but most certainly it is something that is done in a very, very structured manner. And in the Security Council, we will be looking at structure a lot. We'll be looking at formal procedure a lot. I personally am very finicky about rules of procedure, about formats of documents, and so on and so forth. There are several tips that have been sent forward to all of you on the group. You can go and check that out. That explains in a lot of detail how you should go about doing things, what's the ideal way of doing things. And yeah, that's about it. Arsheya, you can take over.
Yeah, so the chairperson mentioned about a DR and everything, president, sorry. So I'll just tell you all the documents which we as the executive board will be accepting. So first we have the DR, obviously. You can make a DR whenever you want to, as the president just said. We'll be expecting DRs anytime you want to. Then we have a plan of action. Now, I think not everybody knows what a plan of action is, but what a plan of action basically means is you're writing in a document how you want to express or initiate some kind of protocol or some kind of mission. For example, for a peacekeeping mission, if you want to uh, add a peacekeeping mission somewhere, you have to have a plan of action in for doing that. So if you have something like that, if you want to do something like that, anything related, you can use a plan of action. So a plan of action can only be submitted before you submit your DR. Just make sure of that. So it's your choice if you want to submit a plan of action. Then we can also enter in agreements between nations. So if you look up for agreements, you can talk about agreements are basically two countries coming in consensus, or basically some area coming in consensus relating to the agenda. It's not exactly that, but this is in simple terms. So that's an agreement. You can come up with that if you want to. We will also accept letters from governments stating something official which your government wants to state on this agenda can be stated in a letter from the government. You can also accept policy papers. So these are all, they're very fancy named. They're not that fancy. They're just there because we as a security council will accept everything in these out of these documents. Yeah.
Asha, just as a slight trivia question.
Mhm.
How many of you have heard USA were wanting to say something?
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
a plan of action and agreement covert or overt?
Covert or overt? So you can explicitly state them. It's an official document that the Security Council will accept. You can state a plan of action is a prelude to your draft resolution because it's slightly more concise in version. It's not a document that the UNSC takes particularly in their official documents. However, in MUNs, it's common practice to quickly think about certain things, and you wanting to make the chair aware of the fact that you have discussed this, and these are certain steps that you are wanting to take. And so in that case, you send us a plan of action stating whatever 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps that you want to take in order to achieve a certain objective. That is, yeah.
Do we have to explicitly state that whether it should be read out in the committee or not?
No, if you're sending it to us, then our assumption is that you want to make it publicly aware.
Okay, perfect.
Because other than that, what is the purpose of making a plan of action? Then you could just simply make a chit or make a message and send it to all delegates. Ki boss, this is the objective. This is what we're trying to achieve, and give consensus on it. Right? If you're explicitly sending it to us, then we understand that okay, the committee is going to take these particular steps. These countries are going to be involved in it. This is the objective that they're trying to achieve. So, जब हमारे पास draft resolution तुम भेजोगे, will be much more aware of what kind of objectives were you trying to achieve. Essentially, ultimately, at the end of the day, we will be able to move faster because while we will read out whatever you have sent to us, हमें उसका analysis करने में time नहीं लगेगा because you've already sent a plan of action. We already know what kind of objectives are you trying to achieve. Okay, so that is the purpose of that.
What's the format?
So there is a document being prepared for all formats, for referential examples, everything A to Z with explanations which will be sent to you by today evening. That has taken me a while to make and your vice presidents to make. So that will be there on the group by evening. So no issues on that. Okay. I was asking all of you a slight trivia question, which was how many of you have heard all of these documents being circulated in a United Nations Security Council, other than a draft resolution or a policy paper? Whatever documents that the vice president stated, how many of you have heard of them before? You can raise your hands. Okay, interesting. All right. And okay, since we're on the topic, and I don't know if you guys have seen that last video or not, assuming that you haven't, how many UN bodies take draft resolutions as their outcome documents? Arsheya, you better keep your mouth shut.
4.
Yeah, who said that? USA says 4. All right. What about the others? Niger
Actually,
and
3.
Dominican Republic.
Actually, 3.
Okay. Who are those?
ECOSOC, Security Council, and General Assembly. And
That's
Trusteeship
nice.
Council
Until they were
last
dissolved.
meeting.
Yeah, right. So there are 3 bodies, or 3 major bodies of the United Nations that takes draft resolutions as outcome documents. One is the United Nations General Assembly, Security Council, and ECOSOC. तो और किसी कमेटी में जाते हो तुम्हें चेयर बोलता है ओ यू नो यू आर इन ILO ओ आई वांट टू ड्राफ्ट सॉल्यूशन, उसको बोलना सर ऐसे नहीं होता, सिर्फ 3 बॉडीज ले सकती हैं और वो ये 3 है, आपको कोई और डॉक्यूमेंट लेना पड़ेगा, वेरी सॉरी. ओके सो okay. Since we are on the topic of documents, I'll just start giving you a little bit of brief on what is the purpose of these documents and why we're accepting them and why we're expecting them. So, सबसे पहला objective that we're trying to achieve is build consensus on actions and not just perpetually keep debating. For us as the Security Council, the objective is to get to a resolution, right? Get to a consensus, get to an action. That's what we're trying to do. Is that, I mean, that's something which is pretty obvious, right? Okay. So if our objective is to reach there, then in that process, there is a lot of, now you guys are delegates, you will try to play politics. We as the executive board, we want to see you reach consensus, right? So for you to play politics, we've given you several documents that you can utilize. Plan of action is one. Consultation is a procedure that we've introduced that you can utilize to your advantage, again in a much more formal manner. Agreements is something that can be undertaken bilaterally, trilaterally, or multilaterally, as you all must be aware. That is how agreements work. So what can you utilize agreements for? So let's say, for example, you want to set up a regional observatory mission between, let's say, you want to set it up in Western Africa, USA, France, and China agree to something magically, considering your current situations. So let's say you magically agree to something and you want to set up a regional body or an observatory mission. Essentially, you will make an agreement, which will be a formal declaration to the Security Council, ki boss, this is what we are wanting to do, this is how we're going to do it, and this is going to be the terms of that agreement. Now, as delegates, what advantage you get out of this is 2 things. Number 1 is we understand तुम्हें documents बनाने आते हैं, which is a very important thing being in an MUN, right? It's not just about your draft resolution, जो every Tom, Dick, and Harry can make, but it's about making agreements which will show to us that not only do you understand the political dynamic that you are in, but you also understand the predicament that if you want to reach to consensus or if you want to achieve a certain objective, agreements is the best way to do it. So let's say, for example, 3 non-permanent countries think that, we need support. We need, some concrete action to be taken. But we know for a fact that all 5 veto powers will not agree to that. So how do we undertake that action? Well, how you undertake that action in the, in the general, real diplomatic world is through agreements. You formulate agreements bilaterally, trilaterally, or multilaterally, and then you implement those things. Now, an interesting point about agreements is you can utilize them to undertake actions that, okay, this is, मैं थोड़ा, I'm going outside the realm of, okay, fine, I'll still do that. So how I utilize personally agreements in a UNSC is I do them to block draft resolutions. Now, how does that happen? The UN Charter gives preferential treatment to sovereign nations undertaking regional arrangements, right? पढ़ोगे समझ आ जाएगा. I'm pretty sure सबने नहीं पढ़ा हुआ UN Charter. कोई नहीं पढ़ता, कोई बात नहीं, इतनी बड़ी बात नहीं है. Go if you go and read it, any actions that the Security Council take must not and cannot oversee or supersede regional arrangements, right? So let's say 3 countries see an opportunity that okay, बस ऐसा करते हैं. Now these veto powers are not going to agree to us. हमें action लेना है, ठीक है? हमें we want to set up a certain arrangement that will help us undertaking certain actions. Let's say China wants to play smart. She goes to the African nations and she says, okay, let me set up an observatory mission in your countries and observatory missions in your countries. And these are the benefits that you're going to get out of it. These are going to be the terms that are going to be utilized. Now, any action that this committee as a whole will take cannot and should not intrude upon or sort of infringe upon the rights of these sovereign nations to undertake their regional arrangements. So that is how I utilize arrangements to sort of block certain actions that the UNSC can take as a whole. ठीक है? तो यहाँ पे agreements can be utilized to your advantage. Now, let's say that let's come to another document which is in it, which is letters from government. सबसे, I would say, the most how should I say it in a subtle manner, the most useless document in a Security Council is letters from government. Now you might state, why is that? Why is that? Is because think about it in this manner that you are a representative of a country, right? You are already giving out statements in the Security Council. Okay. Now you want to state something that your president is stating. पहली बात तो I don't know why USA will need a letter from government from that. We can all open this Twitter and see all sorts of letters from government, right? And I won't want to pinpoint that the delegate of USA, that this has become common practice now. There was a certain point in time where letters from governments did hold a lot of importance because we did not have Twitter, we did not have social media, and for governments to formally communicate something, we could not use Twitter or we could not use Facebook or any of these mediums. So how that used to happen was through letters from government. Now it's sort of redundant, but still, if let's say there is a procedure called right of reply in UNA USA rules. Okay, so in general committees now, right of reply nahi hota. You just simply write a letter to the president, which comes from your government, stating whatever your concern is. Again, another procedural change which will not be entertained. If you are being allocated, you write a letter, send it to the president, and he will entertain it. He will read it out and be done with it. कुछ खास होने नहीं वाला इससे, but if you want to utilize it, you can very well utilize it to whatever extent. All right. Another document is concept notes. Okay, first of all, any kind of doubts up until now that you guys might have about any of the documents that I have just stated? Anything at all? Slightest of the doubts. Because I don't know if I made it clear last time, I'm going to make it clear now also. I am not, and I repeat, I am not going to explain these documents again. This is the last and final time we'll be discussing rules of procedure, documents, or anything of the sort.
USA.
If you have doubts.
USA has a doubt.
Yeah, USA.
Yeah, so do we need to separate letters from the government before reaching the agreement?
No. I mean, you will have your speeches and all. So in that speech, you can state, or you can write you can write a letter from government. I mean, that's not, but we don't need to be explicitly made aware of a regional arrangement that you're undertaking. Because let's say if you send a letter from government to us, ठीक है, और तुम बहुत smart बंदे हो, तुम खेलना चाहते हो backroom politics, ठीक है, तुमने लिख दिया letter from government. Now once we receive it, our obligation is to read it out. There is no way that we cannot read a letter from government out to the council. So we have to do that. And let's say you're undertaking an agreement that will, you're sort of trying to play backroom politics, and you don't want the committee to know about that. So in that case scenario, I think it's common sense that you won't write letter from government to the council. But yes, I will also state this: a letter from government is still a formal document that we will accept. You will be marked upon that document. It still needs to be in format. And yeah, it still needs to be written formally. So itna difference hai, but yeah, it's your choice. Anyone else? किसी को कोई डाउट नहीं है? Okay, all right.
Yeah. Does anybody have any doubt in the agenda? Because when I was hearing your lobbying session, whatever that was.
हाँ, उस पे आ रहे हैं, ऐसा भी आ रहे हैं. Documents clear करने दो पहले. तो procedural चीज है.
Okay.
हाँ जी, किसी को कोई डाउट नहीं है. First time was कौन है कमेटी में जरा? हाथ उठाना. वियतनाम, कहाँ है मैडम वियतनाम? Yeah, no doubts at all.
No, sir.
Yamin, you were raising your hand.
Sir, I was saying I was the first time it is.
Acha. Okay. My assumption is USA and China are experienced delegates. So ये लोग तो doubts पूछेंगे नहीं, ठीक है? क्योंकि इन्हें पता है politics कैसे खेलते हैं. The first timers, you need to understand these documents. And how I used to do it back in the day was I always used to try to understand कि ये real world context में कैसे utilize होती हैं. Okay. What is the purpose of a document? The purpose of a document is you're formally trying to show that हम politics खेल रहे हैं. And yeah, okay. Yeah, so that is why you would utilize these documents. Okay. The importance of them, I think I've made it pretty clear. But understand this, और मैं इतना document बोल रहा हूँ तो तुम्हें अब तक ये समझ आ गया होगा कि इस कमेटी के अंदर documents बहुत important होने वाले हैं. Okay. While of course what you're debating about is most certainly important, but those documents are also going to be very important. Okay. Since we are on the document train, let's give you another document, which is an analysis paper. Now, general committees में you write chits, ऐसे बार के 60, 70, 80, 150. I have personally, being a rapporteur of a committee, I read 2,500 chits in 2 days. Okay, मतलब उन 2 दिनों के बाद अगर I had a conference the next week, and I was a delegate and I did not write a chit. That ultimately affected me getting an award. But I was so fed up after 2,500 chits that I simply could not write them. So a good way and an acceptable way in an MUN, how you could go about doing these things is you write an analysis paper. Now, what is an analysis paper? An analysis paper is you as a delegate having a certain idea or a certain thesis. Ki boss, acha, what is going to be the effectiveness of deploying a peacekeeping mission in a particular region, right? Like you want to answer this particular question. You make this a thesis. Your thesis is that it's going to be effective or it's not going to be effective, or just simply analyzing the efficacy of deploying a peacekeeping mission. You write this as a thesis, and then in your analysis paper, you go over the pros, the cons, how things are going to be undertaken or how they're generally undertaken, and what kind of steps need to be taken in order for you to, better utilize that particular tool. Okay. Now, of course, you are restricted by the committee as a whole agreeing to a moderated caucus topic. However, if you feel that there is this one particular subtopic, or there is this one particular situation, or there is this one particular thing that you want to analyze in much more depth, how you do that is through an analysis paper. You write that, you show it to us, we will know हाँ भाई इस delegate ने मतलब ऐसे झंडे गाड़ लिए हैं और इसको बहुत कुछ आता है, ठीक है? So that is why you write an analysis paper. You are showing to us you have in depth and in great detail understood a situation, and you are making us aware of the fact that you have understood it. Again, not a formal UN document, but accepted in English. Is that clear? So तुम्हारी जो ऐसे 150 pages की PDFs हैं और research हैं and all of that, you can most certainly send us that. Don't copy paste PDFs because there is the procedure in place for us to understand how much is plagiarized and how much is not. तो सोचना भी मत कि तुम plagiarize करके हमें analysis भेजोगे. That will not be accepted. Is that clear? Okay, wonderful, amazing. Moving on. और कौन सा डॉक्यूमेंट मैं भूल रहा हूँ?
Concept note.
Concept note.
Sir,
अच्छा.
will you be
So
accepting the position papers?
ये किसने पूछा है? कौन है?
Sir, I'm
Wonderful
the
delegate.
Director General, actually.
अरे नोरा, अच्छा. So यार, I was having a conversation with the other VC in the night, and we had a sort of a conflict कि position या policy paper कब submit किया जाता है, in what case scenario. Now, the way I do it in UNSCs is I accept those documents under only one condition. If you want to explicitly state a policy change which is being undertaken by you, in that case scenario, you send a policy or position paper to us stating that change and stating the reasons for that change. Okay. This is what I am aware of, or at least the condition that I accept a policy or a position paper in. Now, what his analysis of that was कि position or policy papers are accepted in a scenario where you want to strategically undertake certain policy changes and so on and so forth. I'm like, isn't the whole point of this committee to strategically undertake policy changes as a whole? So I had a sort of a differential opinion on it. If you guys do want policy papers to be accepted, I'll be more than happy to hear under what case scenarios do you send policy papers in. What I am personally aware of is I only accept them. Jaise, one, I'll give you an example. There was a delegate of the United States of America who stated that he was accepting an ICJ ruling from 2016. All right. Now, from what I am aware of is, as the UNSC president, is USA does not accept ICJ rulings after a certain stage, right? So that was a very explicit policy change which was being undertaken by the United States of America. So I told the delegate that, sir, we will be needing a policy paper from your side stating the reasons for your change of policy on this particular point. So he then sent me a policy paper stating the change, stating the reasons for the change. That is it. Or I think the underlying point of this is when you're undertaking a foreign policy change, which is generally referred to as foreign policy, in that case scenario, you do send us a policy paper if you don't want to be debunked, essentially.
Okay, so just a request to you, as 2 to 3 delegates messaged me regarding that they don't know how to make it and they're facing some issues regarding making it. So if you keep it, so can you please explain the delegates how to make it so they don't face any trouble making it?
So delegates, everything from draft resolution to analysis paper to even compilation texts, which are given after a consultation. Each and everything ka format will be given to you. Each and everything ka explanation will be given to you. Each and everything ka referential link will be given to you. So tension mat lo. Every single format will be made aware to you. You will know how to make them. And even after that, if you have any doubts, I will clear them. ये policy paper वाली जो चीज़ है, and this is why that particular document that I'm talking about, which is going to tell you how to make these documents, why that is delayed is because of the policy paper. I was not clear on the background of it. Hence, I did not make aware of that. Are there any delegates on this meeting right now who have a doubt about a policy or a position paper? You can raise your hands and make me aware of that. Okay, Niger has a doubt. Vietnam has a doubt. Okay, anybody else?
Yemen.
Yemen has a doubt. Okay. Okay, all right. So, Niger, Vietnam will do one thing. Once I send that document in, जिसमें सारे formats, explanation वगैरह हैं, go through that, see if you can understand how to make these documents and in what case scenario are these documents made in. मैंने तुम्हें क्लियर कर दिया, मैं एक्सेप्ट करता हूँ पॉलिसी पेपर्स जब एक्सप्लिसिटली तुम कोई पॉलिसी चेंज हमें you want to make us aware of that. Only and in only that case scenario will you send us a policy or a position paper. कमेटी से पहले मत भेजना, मैं एक्सेप्ट नहीं करूंगा. क्लियर? ओके, वंडरफुल, अमेजिंग. तो ये तो हो गई डॉक्यूमेंट्स की बात. अब आ जाते हैं एजेंडा पे. बड़ा प्यारा सा क्यूट सा एजेंडा रखा है हमने. तो if you guys have any kinds of doubts about it, which I am dead sure, as the Vice President has already made me aware of the fact that you most certainly have doubts about the agenda. So, ask them.
This is the delegate of Vietnam. I have a query.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
So I would like to ask that in this agenda, the main purpose is to talk about the conflicts that are happening or happened before the COVID-19. We have to talk about that.
Right. क्योंकि जो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट नहीं हो रहा उसको तो रिजॉल्व कर नहीं सकते हम, जो हो रहा है उसी को रिजॉल्व कर सकते हैं. तो कोशिश वही रहेगी हमारी कि हम करें. So yeah. Any other doubts?
Sir, I have a doubt.
Who is this? Delegate of? Yeah. Yes, you can.
Sir, so I want to ask that we are talking about COVID-19 pandemic. So the committee will be focusing on the security part of it or the overall pandemic and the relief and what all will be majorly focused upon in the committee, or
Okay.
what all you'll give preference to?
All right. So as as I had stated in the previous training session as well, we are not WHO, we are not Human Rights Council, we are not we're not the World Bank, we're not Manrega, we're not any of those things. We are the United Nations Security Council. Okay, so our objective is to ensure international peace and security. Now, specifically about the dynamics of this agenda, if you've read the background guide, I think we've made it fairly clear as to what we're looking for. I'll state it again. So, you have to imagine that before COVID-19, there were already a number of issues that the Security Council was looking upon, right? There were several observatory missions, there were several peacekeeping missions which were set up. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic struck, okay? When it struck, the capacity of and the efficacy of the working of these missions got affected. If you go and, I don't know if I am the only paranoid one who actually reads UN News app, but I would highly suggest, if you guys are interested in MUN and you guys are interested in having a very current sort of debate, I would recommend all of you read news straight from the United Nations mouth. Why that is important is because, okay, missions in South Sudan, Syria, and several other places, the peacekeeping missions were affected. Deployment kam ho gayi thi. The patrolling and the management of these missions were also affected. Jo observatory missions kar sakte the in crowded places or in places of higher populations, they could not undertake them, right? and it is their job to oversee them and then report back, brief the Security Council about them. When the pandemic happened, their capacity to do that got affected. Now, if you, like I stated before also, if you are a terrorist organization, तुम ऐसे तो नहीं बोलोगे ना, नहीं भाई social distancing रखते हैं, अभी ना bombing नहीं करेंगे, ठीक है ना? We'll keep our guns in check, and we're not going to undertake terrorist activities. They're not going to do that. They're not going to stop. Countries who have higher ambitions of annexing other countries, Russia, will, they will not stop. They will try to undertake their, ambitions in a much higher capacity now. And also when they know that the Security Council cannot physically meet, तो उनके पास और एक बड़ी एडवांटेज है कि हम इमरजेंसी मीटिंग भी नहीं बुला सकते कि भैया आके बैठ जाओ, क्योंकि डिप्लोमेट्स तो बैठने ना वाले, ठीक है ना? तो these are the challenges that the Security Council faces in terms of logistical issues. Okay, कि diplomats नहीं मिल सकते, we cannot have emergency sessions, so on and so forth. Now, there is not a separate body. This is an idea that I'm giving to you as a committee as a whole. There is not a separate mission which is set up, which undertakes peacekeeping missions in cases of emergencies. So, let's say, for example, the Security Council most certainly can undertake, the emergency deployment of the Peace Corps and undertake certain actions. However, when the Security Council cannot meet, okay, or their capacity to function, which is probably, I think, never happened before, if their capacity is affected, how will decisions be undertaken? Because हम sovereign पे नहीं छोड़ सकते, हमें पता है sovereigns मतलब बहुत अच्छे से manage करती हैं situations, इसलिए तो हम exist करते हैं, क्योंकि वो इतने अच्छे से handle करती हैं, हमें कुछ करने की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ती. So the point is that there is no functioning mechanism for us to handle situations like that when capacity of functioning is affected. Then in that case scenario, what do we do? Another interesting question that I can give to you to imagine a little bit about is, imagine if the pandemic goes so bad in a country that in any and every possible way they cannot manage neither the pandemic nor the uprising that is going to happen after the pandemic because of economic reasons. So they cannot manage that. Agar the sovereignty of that country or the stability of that country is affected, and we as the Security Council cannot meet to discuss that, how on earth are we going to solve that problem? Because we cannot see a sovereign state go into hands of non-state actors. That is the nightmare of every Security Council ever. Okay, so we can't let that happen. In that case scenario, what do we do? What kind of actions do we undertake that will help us in, keeping a lid on the security measures? Because while Taliban might be gracious enough to listen to the Security Council, there are a lot of terrorist organizations that are not going to talk to us. In that case scenario, what do we do? Thoda clear hua the background and the gist of what we're trying to get at? First timers? Yeah? Okay, great. So, this is one thing. Now, coming on to what all areas can you discuss? You can discuss anything and everything that you want to. You can go to any area, you can pick it up, you can state, boss, ये conflict है. पिछले सेशन में मेरे से किसी डेलीगेट ने बहुत एक ऑनेस्ट क्वेश्चन पूछा था, सर, आर वी गोइंग टू बी टॉकिंग अबाउट द राइट्स इन द यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका एंड अदर कंट्रीज? आई एम लाइक, एज मच एज आई वुड लव टू हैव अ डिस्कशन ऑन दैट, the Security Council does not talk about rights and whatever political instability that is happening in countries until and unless that threatens international peace and security. Okay, so that is a differential point that you need to keep in mind. Now, I am asking again, are there any kinds of doubts about the agenda, about the discussion that you're going to have? Anything at all? क्योंकि हाँ, तुम्हें ये नहीं पता होगा, या डोमिनिकन रिपब्लिक, जस्ट वन थिंग, before you go on and ask your questions, if you guys raise a moderated caucus topic, which is out of the mandate of the Security Council, I will not accept it and I will not put it to vote. Why? Because while the actual president cannot do that, MUNs में एक बड़ी अच्छी सी बहुत प्यारी सी चीज होती है called discretion of the executive board, जो कि मैं बहुत मतलब ऐसे उसको बहुत अच्छे से यूटिलाइज करता हूँ. तो तुमने कोई डम सा स्टूपिड सा मॉडरेटेड कॉकस का टॉपिक उठाया, मैं उसको वहीं के वहीं डाउन कर दूंगा, वोटिंग पे डालूंगा भी. समझ आ गया? तो फिर पूछ रहा हूँ, डोमिनिकन रिपब्लिक मैडम अपना क्वेश्चन पूछेंगी, उसके बाद अगर कोई डाउट्स हैं भगवान के लिए उसको पूछ लेना, अपने अंदर मत रखना. यस मैम, प्लीज आस्क योर क्वेश्चन.
Sir, my question was, as you said in the previous training session that we don't have to include any information about the healthcare in our country. So I know that we don't have to include negative points, but can't we include positive also related to our country in our speeches?
In your speeches, ma'am, you can state whatever you want in your speeches. देखो ना, अभी सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल का सेशन देखो, वहां पे देखो डिप्लोमेट्स कैसी बातें करते हैं. वहां पे होती है नॉनसेंस, काम नहीं होता वहां पे आजकल. ठीक है, सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल में होती है नॉनसेंस. ये मैं बता रहा हूँ टू यू इन अ वेरी इनफॉर्मल नोट दैट diplomats in the public sessions of the Security Council just do nonsense. They don't do work. Okay, काम कहाँ होता है? Consultations में. सब बैकरूम नेगोशिएशन हो जाता है. ऐसे चाइना यूएसए अंडर द टेबल डीलिंग कर लेते हैं. ऐसे रशिया फ्रांस मिल जाते हैं. सब भाई भाई होते हैं सब पीछे, और बाहर आके इंटरनेशनल प्रेस के सामने तेरी ऐसी की तैसी, तू ये तू वो. एंड yeah, so this is what happens in the real Security Council. So you can state whatever you want to in your speeches. Okay, like I stated, if I were to, although I don't get into what do you say, margins and kitna proportion hone wala hai, marking ka differential, speeches how important, documents how important, shits how important. So I don't get into all of that. But if you are sending me a document which can be 10 times more influential than any speech that you are going to give, I am going to give it weightage. If you give a speech that is 10 times more impactful, more useful to the committee than 1,000 other documents that another delegate is sending me, I will value that more. Okay. So my suggestion to you is, if you want to talk about health and all of these things, talk about it in a manner that is in line with the security concerns that are going to come up. So let's say, for example, you're talking about the pandemic and you're talking about the fact that you cannot deploy as much of your armed forces or as much of your personal security forces as you would want to, right? Hence, you come to the Security Council and you state that we are in dire need of assistance in strategically managing our armed and security forces. Okay, so you feel that the expertise of a certain country in managing, widespread political instability that is going to come out of a pandemic like this, you want assistance on that. You come to the Security Council and you state, while we have achieved XYZ, we are still facing problems with ABC and we need help with that. And the Security Council will try to provide you as much help as we could, if you can, of course, be able to negotiate that. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Sir, I have a doubt.
Mhm.
That in the draft resolution, I'm not sure that what is the basic difference between like what is sponsoring and what is like what are the authors, and like how many can form a draft resolution. Like I'm not clear with that.
Okay. All right. So, oh fuck. Right. Yeah. So, in a draft resolution, in a Security Council. So, Security Council में कुछ differences होते हैं, which for your benefit, I will go over them also once. In a draft resolution, you need 9 signatories, for sure. ठीक है, 9 तो चाहिए ही चाहिए. ठीक है. And अकलमंदी की बात ये होगी, although it is a procedural thing, a smart thing to do will be having all 5 permanent members as your signatories. So in order for them to not vote down a discussion on your draft resolution. Okay, so that is something that you should undertake. Let's say that one of the P5 countries does not want to either favor or go against your draft resolution. In order for that to happen, they abstain. They abstain from voting on that also. Okay, so okay, I'll not go into that. वो थोड़ा ज़्यादा technical चला जाता है. For now, understand this. 9 लोगों के signatures तुम्हें चाहिए अपने draft resolution पे उसको discussion में लाने के लिए. Favorably, you should have numbers on it because otherwise हमारी सारी मेहनत पानी में. ठीक है? In order for you, okay, and your sponsors bare minimum तुम्हें एक तो चाहिए, obviously, right? There is a certain number which is bought a lot by which is talked a lot कि मतलब इतनी percentage का वो चाहिए होता है based on the quorum rules that exist in UNA USA. So quorum क्या होता है? Quorum is 1/3 of the committee. तो जैसे समझ लो तुम हो कितने में, मैथ्स बड़ी बुरी है, correct me if I'm wrong. If you are 15 members, then 1/3 of that committee is a quorum. Quorum is nothing but the number of delegates that we for sure need to convene our session. 1/3 of the delegates के बिना हम अपना session convene नहीं कर सकते. ठीक है, ये होता है quorum. अब इस पे based क्या कहते हैं, कई सारे executive board rules बना लेते हैं upon कि इतने sponsors तुम्हें चाहिए ही चाहिए. जरूरी नहीं है. Signatories 9 तुम्हें चाहिए ही चाहिए. 9 affirmative votes in order for a discussion to happen on your draft resolution. That is for sure there. ठीक है, sponsors bare minimum एक तो चाहिए, बिना sponsor के तो document बनेगा नहीं. तो एक चाहिए and 9 signatories is what you need for it in order to go for discussion. Okay. The format of that and how you're going to make it. Yeah, format बड़ा simple सा होता है, कुछ ज़्यादा complicated चीज़ नहीं है. There is a heading that needs to be in place. Okay. Which once I send that doc over, जिसमें सारे formats हैं, you'll know in more detail what format am I talking about. So yeah, the heading needs to be there. Then there is something called preambulatory clauses, which is essentially you telling what objectives are you trying to achieve. So the Security Council seeks, or the Security Council reaffirms or recalls, or so on and so forth. So words like this, which allude to you achieving a certain objective, is what is your preamble. Constitution का preamble होता है, छठी में सब पढ़ते हैं हम, है ना? तो ऐसे ही हर draft resolution का एक preamble होता है. वो preamble क्या बताता है? What types of objectives are you trying to achieve? Cool. So that is there. अब मेरे से कई सारे experienced delegates आगे पूछते हैं, सर क्या हम अपनी foreign policy, let's say that I have been a signatory to a certain draft resolution. However, I abstain from voting on it because of my foreign policy. But उनके preambulatory clauses में अगर कुछ ऐसा लिखा है जो कि I feel or some other people might feel goes against the foreign policy of my country, can I still be a signatory to that? Yes, most certainly. Even if the preambulatory clauses of a document, of a draft resolution goes slightly against the foreign policy or the general policy that your country follows, that can still very well happen. Why? Because common sense, no country is ever going to state that they are not going to recall or reseek or, accept or celebrate the decisions taken by any decisions taken by the United Nations. Okay, very simply put. We all want peace, we all want security, we all want good human rights, we all want elevation of poverty. All these objectives are common. अब उसपे हमारा actual stand क्या है, उससे preambulatory clauses का कोई connection नहीं. ठीक है? तो preambulatory clauses, very simply, you put a word in front of that and you state seeks to recalls these resolutions, so on and so forth. और हाँ, formatal thing है, but मैं बता दूँ, I think वो document में नहीं है जो तुम्हें मिलेगा. If you are stating a resolution, you have to link to it. You cannot state a resolution and be like, sir, आप ढूंढ लेना, हम नहीं link कर. ठीक है? तो वो नहीं करना. If you're stating a resolution in your preambulatory or operative clauses, you have to link to it. Okay. Coming on to what? operative clauses are. Operative, as the very rightly the name suggests, operative is you undertaking an operation, you're undertaking an action, right? Establishment of bodies, doing X, Y, Z, whatever comes under the mandate of the Security Council, and whatever you as a committee come on consensus as the Security Council, you state that in the operative. उसकी डिटेल्स क्या है, उसको फ्रेम कैसे करते हैं, वो तुम्हें इस डॉक्यूमेंट में पता लग जाएगा. कोई डाउट आएगा तो हमसे पूछना. क्लियर मैडम वियतनाम?
No, nothing message. No doubts.
Sir, all right, okay. Any other doubts at all about agenda or anything else?
USA has a doubt.
Yeah, yes sir.
If we wish to, can we discuss like specific regions of conflict in a moderated topic?
Yeah, you can. 100%, you can.
Sir, USA has raised his hand.
Uh,
I've asked it.
yeah, he's asked his question. Guys, if anybody else has a doubt, please ask them. First timers, डरो मत, इंटिमिडेट मत हो, मैं नहीं खा जाऊंगा तुम्हें, ना कोई एक्सपीरियंस डेलीगेट खा जाएगा, पूछ लो डाउट है तो. तुम्हें अगर ऐसा लग रहा है कि तुम्हारे एक्सपीरियंस डेलीगेट्स को बहुत कुछ पता है और वो कितने एक्सपीरियंस हैं और दे आर सो नॉलेजेबल अबाउट सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल्स, मतलब आई हैव टाइम एंड टाइम अगेन प्रूवन कि मैंने पर्सनली प्रूवन कि ऐसा नहीं होता. और जब डिबेट शुरू होगी, जब लॉबिंग शुरू होगी, एंड आई थिंक अर्शा हैज बीन अ टेस्टमेंट टू दैट कि ऐसा नहीं होता. तो डरो मत, पूछ लो जैसा भी डाउट है. सर चिट्स कैसे लिखते हैं, सर ये डॉक्यूमेंट क्या होता है, सर एनालिसिस पेपर का पर्पस क्या है, क्यों बना रहे हैं हम, इतना यूजर डॉक्यूमेंट मैं आज तक जिंदगी में नहीं सुना. और मैं बता दूं, ना सुनोगे, किसी एमयूएन में चले जाओ, ऑफलाइन ऑनलाइन, कभी नहीं सुनोगे. यू विल नेवर हियर अग्रीमेंट्स until unless you're in an economic committee. You will never hear the word analysis paper in any committee that you go to. You will never hear the word concept note, जो कि is a formal UN document, but उसके बारे में कोई बात नहीं करता, surprisingly. ठीक है, तो anything and everything that you might have a doubt about, ask them right now.
It's not an important question. I just wanted to ask that.
No, every question is important. Let me be very clear with that. Every single damn question is important.
I wanted to ask that, as you said, that we can share the document, like if we find that someone is against the rules of procedure, like we can share with you that it's not that, it's that, like.
That's called a point of order.
Yes. That.
Or not even a point of order. It's just you making us explicitly aware of a factual inaccuracy. Huh.
Yes, I wanted to share that. So,
okay.
How would we share that with you?
Abhi has factual inaccuracy.
No, like between the committee, if we want to, like.
Achha, okay, that way. So you have a WhatsApp group. You have our personal numbers, right? So you can send us, any of us, a message ki this is the factual inaccuracy that I feel has been undertaken, and we will adhere to it. अगर वो इतनी important होगी कि हमें उसको read out करके बताना है, या you know, it is essentially changing the context and the content of what the delegate has stated, then in that case scenario we will explicitly state it. अगर तुम्हें लगता है कि कोई delegate, you know, उसने real world में, as in any of the countries have stated A in the real world and stating X in the committee, and you feel that that is, you know, a vast kind of a change in policy, so you can state that in your speeches, which will be very well appreciated. But you can also write us a message that, sir, this is the change in stand that this delegate has undertaken. If we feel that is serious enough, we will ask the delegate to submit us a policy paper or position paper, whatever. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. पूछो.
Sir, could you just again clarify the concept? What is the concept note you were talking about?
अच्छा, मैं एक्सप्लिसिटली पक्का पहले सोच लो. ये देखो मैं बता दूंगा, फिर हो जाओगे तुम कंफ्यूज, फिर तुम नहीं पूछोगे डाउट मुझसे. तो पहले बता दो. कंफ्यूज हो गए तो प्लीज भगवान के लिए पूछ लेना, ठीक है? बिकॉज आई अंडरस्टैंड दिस इज द फर्स्ट टाइम यू आर हियरिंग द वर्ड concept note, and I will give you in quotation marks what my vice president told me yesterday. Sir, this is very, very technical. Because it is supposed to be technical. Okay, you want me to go through what a concept note is? I'll go through what a concept note is. इतना technical है कि मुझे भी खोलना पड़ रहा है, तो समझ जाओ, ठीक है? Give me a second. अच्छा, other than concept note और कोई doubt है? ऐसा हो नहीं सकता, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि तुम्हें doubts ना हो.
Even I, as the vice president, had many doubts.
ये अभी मुझसे पूछेगी सेशन के बाद, तुम्हें क्या लगता है? देखो, दो बातें हो सकती हैं. या तो तुम हो इतने कंफ्यूज कि तुम्हें लग रहा है कि भाई डाउट भी क्या ही पूछे, ठीक है? पूरा सेशन फिर से शुरू करना पड़ेगा. अरे करना पड़ेगा, करेंगे ना. हमारे पास टाइम है, हमारे पास और कुछ है नहीं, टाइम. तो पूछ लो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है.
So what is I have a doubt. That's what are the types of a document? So can you repeat that?
Okay. So यार दो तरीके के डॉक्यूमेंट्स होते हैं, ठीक है? In an MUN specifically. One is an outcome document, which is essentially the type of document जो पूरी कमेटी देती है as a whole, ठीक है? इस कमेटी के अंदर 3 डॉक्यूमेंट्स हैं जो कि which are going to be outcome document. नहीं, 3 डॉक्यूमेंट्स नहीं है, 2 डॉक्यूमेंट्स हैं which are going to be outcome documents of all the discussion that takes place in the committee. One is what do you call a draft resolution, जो कि मैंने I think explain कर दिया in quite sufficient detail. और चीजें तुम्हें चाहिए होंगी वो उसमें आ जाएंगी जो मैं भेजूंगा तुम्हें. एंड दूसरी होती है कम्युनिक is a press release that is given. तो SC में क्या होता है, डिस्कशन हो जाता है पूरा, ठीक है? All members discuss whatever agenda that they're discussing. Then there is a statement which is prepared and given to the president of the council, and the president of the council reads it out to the international press. ठीक है? ये दो outcome documents होते हैं which are submitted by the security council. ठीक है? अब इन committee documents जो होते हैं वो सारी चीजें होती हैं which comes under your letters from government, your what do you call concept notes, agreements, analysis papers, your policy papers. These are all in committee documents that are given while the formal session or debating is going on of the committee. ठीक है? तो दो तरीके के डॉक्यूमेंट्स होते हैं. अब जो कि मुझे लग रहा है तुम्हारा अंडरलाइंग डाउट है, और अंडरलाइंग डाउट इज ये डॉक्यूमेंट्स बनाते कैसे हैं, इनमें होता क्या है, what is the content of these documents, and what kind of effect they have. If you want to know slightly more on what effect they have, what I'm trying to do essentially in this session is not be too explicit about anything, क्योंकि अगर मैंने तुम्हें outright बता दिया या spoon feed कर दिया कि वो document कब कहाँ कैसे बनाना है, तो तुम्हारी मेहनत क्या रह जाएगी. So थोड़ी मेहनत तुम्हें भी करनी है, सारी चीजें तो मैं स्पून फीड करूंगा नहीं. जब मैं तुम्हें भेजूंगा कि how those documents are made, your job is to understand where and how you will utilize them. That is for you to determine. You might feel कि committee शुरू होने से पहले मैं agreement बनाऊंगी या बनाऊंगा, ठीक है, and I will submit it, and I will do my lobbying beforehand and have an agreement ready and give it to the committee. Because understand this, after a draft resolution as your outcome document, the one document that you can utilize as delegates very well, that will give you I would even go so far as to say competitive advantage in the committee, will be your agreements. And let me tell you this, अगर तुम्हें लग रहा है कि तुमने ऐसे 4 घंटे बैक एंड फोर्थ करके अग्रीमेंट बना लिया, तो भूल जाओ, नहीं होने वाला. कम से कम 4 दिन लगेंगे एक अग्रीमेंट बनाने में, उसको हैश आउट करने में, उसकी डिटेल्स हैश आउट करने में, ठीक है. और अगर मुझे लगता है कि उस अग्रीमेंट के अंदर तुमने कोई फॉरेन पॉलिसी चेंज लिया, मैं उसके लिए पॉलिसी पेपर भी मांगूंगा. बड़ा शॉर्ट बंदा हूं मैं सब लिखित में मांगता हूँ, एवरीथिंग. कुछ presumption, assumption, reading between the lines होता ही नहीं है. So everything is explicit. खुल जा भाई. Okay. Yeah. Anything else?
USA is designed again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How will there be different procedures for discussion for every of this allotment, or will be document, or will there be one set procedure in which we will discuss each and every of allotment?
So like I said, outcome documents दो ही हैं, तो discussion सिर्फ उन्हीं पे होगा. Alright, discussion में क्या? Discussion सिर्फ draft resolution पे ही होगा. Why? Because press release पे तो तुम्हारा जो discussion है उसी का consensus आ जाएगा press release पे. Alright. So yeah, discussions will only happen upon draft resolutions. Let's say, for example, you cannot come on consensus for a draft resolution. Okay, and you ask us कि sir, हम नहीं बना पा रहे draft resolution, we can't come on consensus on one particular thing. What do we do? In that and only in that case scenario will first of all, in that case scenario, पहली बात जो document बनेगा, क्योंकि 110% I absolutely hate it when MUNs के अंदर document नहीं बनता at the end of the committee. You know what you're stating essentially, कि तुमने 2 दिन debating करी and there is absolutely nothing that you have to say, nothing at all. ऐसा कोई session नहीं है UNSC का जिसके बाद document ना बनाओ. Document is nothing but you are just stating कि तुमने ऐसे 2 दिन जो भौके हो तुम, वो क्या भौके हो, उसको तुम डालते हो एक पेपर पे और वो तुम देते हो दुनिया को. अगर तुम ऐसे imagine if the Security Council meets for like 2 weeks straight, okay, and the session goes on for 2 weeks straight, and after that they just state यार consensus नहीं बनता, document नहीं बनता. Imagine, मतलब उनकी गवर्नमेंट से उनको जूते मारेगी, इंटरनेशनल प्रेस उनको जूते मारेगी कि मतलब तुमने 2 हफ्ते बैठ क्या झक मारी है तुमने, ठीक है. ऐसा होता नहीं, ठीक है. So 110% at the end of every committee session, at the end of this of these 2 days of this 2 days of debating, we are most certainly going to have one document, either a press release or a draft resolution. In a case scenario that you don't come on consensus for a draft resolution, and you might state कि sir, ये agreement is such an important topic for the committee to discuss, और ये आने वाला है, ये मत भूलो, क्योंकि मैं तुम्हें हिंट दे चुका हूँ कि तुम ब्लॉक कर सकते हो ड्राफ्ट सजेशंस फॉर अग्रीमेंट्स, तो अग्रीमेंट्स भी बनेंगे और ब्लॉकेज भी होगा और तुम पॉलिटिक्स भी खेलोगे, ऑब्वियस सी बात है, ठीक है. So you might state to me that sir, this agreement is so important that we need to discuss it in the Security Council. In that case scenario, you will raise a motion for a moderated caucus on that particular agreement. Now, be aware of that. In an actual Security Council, this will never happen. Regional arrangements ka discussion explicitly as an agenda of the committee will never take place. However, in a special case scenario wherein you don't come on consensus for a final document, and that, by the way, you will have to state to me, agar second day of debating starts at 10:30 a.m., by 12 p.m. you will have to tell me 110% whether you're going to make a document or not. Let's say if you don't make a document और 7 घंटे बचे हैं debating में, उस debating में you will discuss whatever documents were submitted in the committee as moderated caucuses, and उसके बाद when you come to somewhere around, let's say 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. by that point in time you need to start working on your press release that I will have to give to the international press. क्लियर हो गया? और ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं मतलब बिना स्टेटमेंट दिए प्रेस के सामने जाने वाला हूँ, तो बेइज्जती मत कराना मेरी, ठीक है? मतलब बना लेना एक स्टेटमेंट प्यारी सी अच्छी सी शॉर्ट सी, मैं वो दे दूंगा, ठीक है? कूल है, क्लियर है? ओके. USA, you have a doubt?
I just asked if it was for that. Everything is fine, cool.
That's
Acha,
all.
okay. All right. Anyone else?
Delegate of China.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I read the background guide and it was pretty evident from that that we'd be discussing on the conflict that had already taken place in the world, because currently no conflict has begun during this pandemic era, right? But there are
Right.
certain arenas in the world and there are certain minor conflicts that may lead to major ones in future in this pandemic era, like the border dispute of China and India, and then USA asking all the NATO forces to stop the trade with China, and then that might lead to Cold War at some point of time. So can we keep this as a topic in moderated focus, like prevention of the war or the dispute that might occur during this pandemic?
Okay. It's, Arsha, what is surprising to me is Madam China states ki minor conflict like the border dispute between India and China. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. So, all right. So conflict resolutions के ना कुछ part होते हैं. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So conflict resolution के कुछ parts होते हैं, जिसमें से एक part होता है conflict prevention का. ठीक है? Conflict prevention का काम most certainly UNSC के mandate में आता है, and we are supposed to discuss that. But a border dispute between India and China, until and unless it does not escalate to the situation where the SC has to intervene in it. ठीक है? So क्या होता है in general case scenario कि जैसे अभी हो रहा था, अभी की, if you, I think as delegate of China you must be following that. What is currently happening is India and China are having what is called a standoff. Okay. In a standoff, both countries are taking aggressive stances, right? USA is backing India for whatever they might need. Now, what you are stating is very rightly said कि Cold War हो सकती है. But interestingly enough, even while the Cold War was going on between USA and Russia, it was never discussed in the UNSC. कभी नहीं हुआ. Until and unless there was a explicit use of force utilized by USA or Russia. But interestingly enough, the Cold War, जो नाम में पता लग जाता है, is neither of the sides utilizing force in order to undertake that war, right? Or Cold War is not defined in any of the UNSC resolutions or any of the United Nations resolutions. उसकी कोई explicit definition नहीं. तो हम नहीं define कर सकते कि Cold War क्या है और Cold War क्या नहीं. So while your ये कौन था भाई? Okay.
It seems that we have a other vice president in the session right now.
Did he just shout yo?
Maybe. I don't know what that was.
Aviral, until I don't tell you, please keep your mic shut. Thank you very much. So coming back to your thing. So what I would rather suggest you is utilize your Cold War stance and sort of mold it to your advantage. Try to do that. Okay?
Okay, so I clear my doubts in this thing. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
So, regarding the border dispute, so you're suggesting that we wait till the border dispute between India and China escalates to another level, and then we bring it onto discussion in Security Council rather than just preventing it.
अच्छा मुझे ये बताओ, अगर हम इंटरवीन नहीं कर रहे इन द अफेयर्स ऑफ यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स के अंदर जो राइट्स चल रहे हैं, ठीक है, हम क्यों नहीं इंटरवीन कर रहे? हमारा काम क्या है? पीस एंड सिक्योरिटी. हम क्यों नहीं रख सकते पीस एंड सिक्योरिटी वैसे? या व्हाई कांट वी कीप द पीस एंड सिक्योरिटी इन लेट्स से इंडिया में जब प्रोटेस्ट और राइट्स हो रहे थे ऑन सेवरल इश्यूज, व्हाई डोंट वी इंटरवीन इन दैट? The simple reason being,
internal matter.
Exactly. So जब इंडिया और चाइना के बीच में डिस्कशंस चल रहे हैं, देखो अभी तक वॉर नहीं हुई है, राइट? दे आर एसेंशियली हैविंग अ स्टैंड ऑफ, राइट? They are at at a point in time wherein they might go to war, but they might not also go to war, because if you look at historical or empirical evidence, they have had standoffs in the past, but they don't actually go to war. Okay, it is in very extreme case scenario that they might actually end up going to war. So if you as China want to bring it to the attention of the Security Council and you want to state कि बस देखो मेरी सनक गई है, ठीक है ना, और मैं करने वाली हूँ इंडिया को बॉम्ब, ठीक है, and you want to bring that up as a moderated caucus topic, or you want to bring that up in any of your speeches, you're more than welcome to do that. If you can convince the committee that this is something that is escalating to the point where it might lead to a explicit war between me and India, and we need to discuss that, I want to sort that thing out. That will sort of be stupid because India committee के अंदर नहीं है, तो discussion क्या ही करोगे? But if you still feel that having a discussion on that is important, by all means go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Long awkward silence. Very nice.
Please
Nobody
ask
else.
some questions. This is your last training session. After this, we will not be having any training sessions.
Very rightly said, Nora. And let me also make this very clear. इसके बाद all your channels of communication will be opened. We'll be monitoring every single message that you send on the group, every single action that you're undertaking, any kinds of discussions of documents that you're undertaking, and if you send any of them to us before the conference starts, we are going to see that, we're going to mark that, we're going to see how you're undertaking, because lobbying is not about you deciding कि अच्छा हम किस टॉपिक के ऊपर डिस्कशन करने वाले हैं. That is one aspect of that. What you could rather do is make a document which is in a manner going to influence the whole committee as a in general, कि मतलब तुमने ऐसी पॉलिटिक्स खेल ली और ऐसी लॉबिंग कर ली कि तुमने डॉक्यूमेंट भी बना लिया, वो डॉक्यूमेंट हमें प्रेजेंट कर दिया, हमने कमेटी को प्रेजेंट कर दिया, एंड नाउ द कमिटी इज फोर्स्ड टू go towards your direction. Okay, rather than having discussions on topics like, मतलब मैं कैसे बताऊं, obvious discussions अगर तुमने करने हैं कि अच्छा सिचुएशन इन लिबिया क्या है, अच्छा सिचुएशन इन सीरिया क्या है, वही घिसे पिटे डिस्कशन जो मतलब पता नहीं कितने सालों से MUNs में हो रहे हैं, ठीक है, मतलब अभी तक to the extent where Israel Palestine is still an agenda that I'll see in committees coming on very often. अगर तुमने वो करना है, more than welcome to do that. But I will state this: I have given you the tools to make this discussion something that any of you have never experienced before. And honestly, for us, it will nothing better can happen to see a discussion for 2 days. कि it keeps us on our feet. कि भाई अब क्या होने वाला है committee में. That is, I think, the assumption that all three of us have, and which we want to see. And I'm pretty sure you've heard your fair share of, BS about EMUNs and, how they are not up to the mark and level of offline MUNs and so on and so forth. My goal personally in this committee would be to reach it up to a level where offline conferences look at recordings of our MUN and state ki bhai, this is something that we want to aspire to. So that is the benchmark that you are trying to reach. Okay, it is, it is saddening for me to see that, the new invention in MUNs, which I personally have been waiting for 5 years, like, change तो हो, कोई change नहीं होता. वही agendas आ जाते हैं, वही EB members circulate होते रहते हैं, रापी से vice chair बन जाते हैं, vice chair से chair बन जाते हैं, and no real change happens. And this is the first time, and another reason why I picked this agenda for discussion, this is the first time that anything of this sort, magnitude and precedent is happening in the world ever. And probably this is the one time where things will be done, actions will be taken that is going to be, jaise hum bolte rehte hain, are going to be talked about in history books to come. I don't know if history books will exist at that point in time, but anyhow, the point is, I personally, my suggestion to all of you would be, don't look at it as just another MUN. This is just another conference that I'm doing in the 7 conferences that I'm doing in a week. Don't look at it like that. Don't try to give me BS की अच्छा WHO का research उठा के मैं SC में छापूंगी and मुझे analysis और research के number मिल जाएंगे. तुमने वो करा, तुम्हारा award आ भी रहा होगा ना, मुझे इस committee में कोई award ना देना पड़े. I am more than happy to do that. Let me be very clear on that, and I'm not joking on this part. If I don't have to give a best delegate, high commerce specman, I will most certainly do that. Don't for a second think that I won't do that. If I have to increase the best delegate award, I will do that. If I have to increase the high comms awards, I will do that. But don't for a second think that you will give me BS and I will accept it. I most certainly will not. You are here in the Security Council. Take this shit seriously, because the world does that. Nobody takes a Security Council meeting lightly. I would expect all of you as delegates of the Security Council to not take it lightly as well. These documents, all of these new things that I'm introducing in this committee are to give you a sense of how things happen out there in the real world. ठीक है, जब तुम कॉलेज में आते हो तो तुम्हें बताया जाता है कि this is how shit happens in the real world. फिर तुम internship करने जाते हो, फिर तुम्हें पता लगता है, oh, that is not really how things happen in the real world. This is how things happen in the real world. और फिर तुम internship से job में जाते हो तो तुम्हें पता लगता है, oh, अच्छा, this is how things happen in the real world. So my job as an executive board member is to give you the realist experience that you will see in a Security Council session. I am willing to bet none of you, even the vice presidents, have ever seen a Security Council session from start to finish. किसी ने नहीं देखा होगा. मैंने भी नहीं देखा था. Until 2 years back, I was doing a historical Security Council, and I wanted to understand what kind of dynamics take place or took place in that point in time, what kind of speeches were given by delegates, and what kind of mindsets did diplomats hold in that point in time. Because we didn't have Twitter, we didn't have all of these things, all of this immediate flow of information. ठीक है, मतलब I think every Security Council session these days is a crisis Security Council session. ठीक है, क्योंकि एक डिप्लोमेट एक स्पीच देता है, फिर हमारे ऑनरेबल हेड्स ऑफ स्टेट कुछ ट्विटर पे ट्वीट कर देते हैं और फिर पूरा डायनामिक चेंज हो जाता है. फिर the representative has to adapt to what his government just stated, because he can't go against what his government just stated. ठीक है? So be wary of what is happening out there in the real world. Don't be oblivious to it. Don't ignore any of it. Agar by 15th of June there is a certain information that comes out there in the real world कि बॉस ये डायनामिक में चेंज आया है, या ये प्रेस रिलीज आई है यूएन से, या ये एक्शन लिया गया है, या ये ब्रीफिंग आई है, या ये रिपोर्ट आई है, एंड if you state that in your speech, that will only go to show me that you were aware of what is happening out there in the real world. I'm not stating कि तुम मतलब every press release from the start of March till right now तुम सब पढ़ लो, but general news you can be aware of that. General discussions that are happening out there in the real world, you can be aware of that. Preferably utilize them is what I will state. Okay. So yeah, any other things that you want to ask me? Please guys, ask me questions. ये silence से कुछ नहीं होने वाला, and क्या कहते हैं, lobbying session में फिर तुम हगोगे सारे, तो उससे better है कि पूछ लो, clear कर लो. It's a training session. We're not marking anybody, we're not judging anybody as of now, but yeah. So ask me if there's anything. Acha, all of you have read the background guide? Can you raise your hands if you have?
Not the full. I've read almost half the background guide.
You've read half of the background guide. Who's read the full background guide? किसी ने नहीं पढ़ी है? बहुत ही बढ़िया.
Like I read full of it, but I guess I like something I missed in between, which I felt that I should read it afterwards, because it was based on the draft resolution thing, which I need to focus upon later. So I read
Which document are you talking about?
which was on the group, I guess. I don't know what are you talking about.
There are several documents on the group. अभी एक और आने वाला है.
Okay. Maybe I'm
No,
not aware of.
I'm only talking about the background guide. Only the background guide. So, for all I have seen, only China and one more delegate have read it in its entirety. Guys, सबसे पहला काम होता है background guide. क्यों उससे ना मतलब तुम्हें मतलब how do I, that is a basic thing that you have to do. Even after doing MUN for 6 years, the first thing I do is read the background guide. Yeah, exactly. Arsheya, हमारी मेहनत. Yes, exactly. We worked our asses off to make this background guide. हम कहीं से copy paste नहीं कर सकते. It was our own analysis of the situation. It was, for us to understand what kind of dynamic would be appropriate for a security council and how you all may or may not utilize it. So it is, yeah.
Maybe it was sent earlier and I joined the group late, so I would like to like to ask
that's
you.
dangerous. Aditya, please make sure that all delegates have all the documents that have been sent on the group.
Yes, sir.
All documents,
As
all
soon as
messages.
I add all the delegates to the group, I have sent all the three documents: the background guide, the UNA USA ROPs, and the charter. The three documents which were there on the group.
Yeah, there is another document, जो कि is about the draft resolution and how to go about doing the negotiations. So वो भी भेज देना to all of these people. And there is another document which is coming up, which you will need to go through, which is the formats of all the documents. You have to, and let me be as clear as I possibly can be on this, have to adhere to the format. Format में नहीं होगा मैं पढ़ूंगा भी नहीं. तुमने ऐसे दुनिया का सबसे ब्रिलियंट डॉक्यूमेंट बनाया होगा, अगर वो फॉर्मेट में नहीं हुआ, will not read it. Simply put. Okay. All right. So, okay, all of you have not read the background guide. I don't know how you will have doubts about the agenda if you've not read the background guide. Because the whole point of this session was for you guys to bring out your doubts about the agenda and then for us to discuss it. Because otherwise you will go haywire on what the discussion is in reality. और इसके बाद मैं हम में से कोई सेशन नहीं लेने वाला. हमने ऐसे 4 दिन बाद आके पूछा क्या कहते हैं कमेटी के अंदर कि अरे सर डॉक्यूमेंट कैसे बनाते हैं प्लीज बता. अरे सर एजेंडा में क्या डिस्कशन करना है सब बता दो. हम वर्चुअली जूते मारेंगे तुम्हें ऐसे. What do we do?
Let's end it. That's all we can do, right, अभी तो.
मैं सर पकड़ के बैठा हूँ अपने ऐसे.
Guys, whenever you start your research, please read the background guide. Our EB members have literally worked so hard. Arsheya ma'am, I guess, worked till 5:30 to write it down. So kindly read it. It's for your betterment so that most of your doubts will be cleared in the background guide.
Yeah. We spoiled our couple one nights to work on it. Yeah, more than a couple. I'm trying to be subtle. Don't try to flex. Okay. All right. Let me give you. मैंने काफी हद तक तो तुम्हें politics of the situation तो समझा ही दी है. Okay, let's do it this way. Since this is a training session after all, and you're going to invest with the agenda as of now, right? What I can do in turn is ask all of you individually what your perception about the agenda is, and what do you feel needs to be discussed in the committee, and what kind of a resolution will be ultimately reached. So अगर उसके बीच में कोई भी lapses या gaps या loopholes होंगे, I will address them to you for your benefit and for the committee's benefit, so that all of you are aware of what direction you need to go into. And I'll state this why I'm doing this, and I understand some experienced delegates might not be okay with it, but the reason why I'm doing this is तुम्हें भी नहीं पता कि ये agenda actually में कैसे discuss होना है. So the logical thing to do in that scenario would be to ask each and every one of you what you feel about the agenda, where the direction is. If I feel you're going in the right direction, I'll point you towards the right one and you can go there. And while I'm having a discussion one-to-one with a delegate, I'll request all delegates to please pay attention to it, because some of your doubts might be cleared out in the process. Okay? So let's do that. I will start with who wants to start? Yaar, koi bhi haath utha do. Just raise your hand. Okay, China. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I read the background guide thoroughly, and what I think, I believe the agenda talks about is conflict resolution in various parts of the world during this pandemic era, and there were actually certain conflicts that took place before this COVID-19 or coronavirus broke out. So we'd be discussing about how to resolve on the conflicts, and we had some discussion, which was, I believe, a lobbying session where we discussed that we'll be in moderated caucus, we'll be dividing the world into according to the geographical zones, and then we'll be discussing on certain aids that we need in certain parts of the world, like for instance, like Middle East, then African nations and everything, and then we'll be discussing about how to resolve the conflicts, or which forces should we use and employ in those areas and all.
And that's it.
That's just a small part of it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. You're going in the right direction. What I will state is most of these issues. So a good way to do that, considering the what do you say? मतलब जहाँ तक मैंने देखा है, in a 15-member Security Council, the number of discussions you can have in a day is like 4 or 5. Okay, 4 or 5 moderated caucuses, including the GSLs and बीच में जो भी interruptions आते हैं उनको देखते हुए. So you can divide it into geographical zones. An even better thing to do in that scenario would be to break it down into problems that are currently occurring with these conflict regions. So
I thought of it, but
Mhm.
Sorry, yeah.
Because non-state actors is a common problem. Right, political instability is a common problem, and what do you call your intervention by the Security Council is something that is quite prevalent in most of these regions, if not all of them. Okay. So you can discuss the dynamics, the specific dynamics of that country, which is a good thing to do. But if you can figure out the what do you call the problems at hand in that manner, कि मतलब इसके लिए this is a common action that can be taken, and इसके लिए this is the action that can be taken. Then in order for that, so in that order you can undertake that. But जैसे तुम कर रहे हो वो भी ठीक है. That is like that's a good way of thinking that. No worries at all. But then yes, don't keep your discussions general. Go very specific about what those problems are and how the Security Council as a whole can solve them. Okay? Yeah. Who's next?
I have to say this, but I have my tuition right now, and if I don't attend,
Yeah, sure, you can go.
Great.
Excuse me, can I also leave? I also have a tuition right now.
Yes, delegate of Germany, please. Guys, छुट्टियों में तो tuition छोड़ दिया करो यार. Okay, yes, delegate of USA.
Yeah, so we have to discuss about that how conflicts worldwide are affected by COVID-19 and how Security Council as a whole can act in a consensus to stop those. I'm sorry. Yeah, and how Security Council as a whole can act in a consensus to solve these conflicts together. For instance, there was a global need for ceasefire by the Secretary by Mr. Antonio Guterres, and there are also recent ceasefires in Syria, as far as I remember. So, how can Security Council ensure global ceasefire in the midst of these pandemics, and how conflicts do not act as a way to escalate this pandemic in specifically conflict-prone areas? Since the funds which are given over there are majorly going into arms and ammunition and not in the healthcare, but especially in areas of Sudan and Democratic Republic of Congo and Libya and all these poor nations. In that
Right, perfect. You're spot on with that. Delegate of Vietnam.
So I think that in this agenda there was a bushfire in Australia, so that might have led to some conflicts and fights or wars. which can be discussed because during the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm not sure about this, but I feel that it can be discussed.
That's fine. You don't. Since you are a first timer, I will say this.
No,
It
I'm
takes
not the
guts.
first timer. I'm a first timer to this UNSC committee.
हाँ तो SC जैसी कमेटी में मुंह खोलने के लिए ना दम चाहिए होता है, ठीक है? जैसे in slang language you would call it guda. Okay, guda चाहिए होता है. तो even if you speak two words in the Security Council for the first time, that takes guts. So never feel apologetic for anything at all that you might be saying. And remember this, तुम्हें लगता है कि लोग कॉन्शियस हो जाते हैं कि यार मतलब ये डम तो नहीं लगेगा. Have you seen the head of states talking? Do you think they're smart people? They are dumb as nuts. Okay, like to the extent where Afghanistan का what do you call religious leader खड़ा होगा और UN का चार्टर फाड़ देगा UNG में. हरकतें होती हैं United Nations में, by the way. So never feel that anything that you might be suggesting might be considered dumb or might be considered out of context. If they can do that shit and get away with it, you most certainly can do anything and get away with it. So don't feel bad about that. But yeah, my suggestion to you would be read the background guide thoroughly. Point number one. थोड़ा उसको समझो. What are we trying to get at? Okay, what does conflict resolution mean? उस शब्द का मतलब क्या है? Try to understand that. Try to understand what a conflict is, how it starts, where it starts, what the political scenario between countries are. क्या USA China दोस्त हैं या नहीं है? क्या Russia China दोस्त हैं? नहीं है. Specifically talking about, let's say, Vietnam. Okay, your country was very successful in managing coronavirus pandemic. So you personally understand how to undertake measures in order for you to control the pandemic, right? And controlling the pandemic is a very important aspect of controlling the conflict that comes after that. Okay, or undertaking measures that will allow for countries to come out of the pandemic quicker. Your country very intricately understands that. That's your advantage. Specifically about Australian bushfires, it was certainly something which was very devastating. However, that is not something that the UNSC needs to be concerned about, क्योंकि वो ऑस्ट्रेलिया की गवर्नमेंट ऑलरेडी मैनेज कर रही है, तो हमें उसमें घुसने की कोई जरूरत नहीं. हमारा हम अपनी नाक बहुत जगहों में घुसाते हैं, पर कंट्रीज की बुशफायर्स, कंट्री के राइट्स, सॉवरेन हेड्स ऑफ स्टेट की स्पीचेस, उन पे हमें जाने की कोई जरूरत नहीं होती. फॉर्चुनेटली इनफ नहीं जरूरत होती. ओके, सो आई वुड सजेस्ट यू go through the background guide is number one. Point number one. Point number two is questions to consider दिए हुए हैं हमने. Go through them, try to get brain working into that direction. And there are certain links that we've given that refer to COVID-19 and its effect on conflict-affected regions. उन links को पढ़ो. You will be more than prepared mentally, at least enough for the kind of discussion that is going to happen in the committee. उसके ऊपर फिर अपनी खुद की research करना. Cool? Great. Delegate of UK.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can I leave right now?
Yes, USA, you can leave.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Sir, shall I stop the recording now?
Sorry?
Shall I stop the recording now, like of the meeting?